And also, as a little bit of a treat, I've just got something from Game Jolt. Like, I've literally just got it after I did the speedrun, and I think you might find this a bit laughable, in all honesty. It is pretty much like this mystery game, and yeah. I'm pretty sure it should be amusing in like different ways. What is this mystery game going to be, guys? What is it going to be? Make no mistakes, everyone. It's Undertale, the visual novel. This I literally found on Game Jolt like a year ago. Like, yeah, I was pretty shocked to see that something like this exists. So yeah, let's give this a go. For all of you guys, cringy voice acting and everything. Zzz. With a quick stretch, you start to wake up in your room. Your eyes slide open to view your ceiling slowly coming into focus. For a moment, you chuckle quietly to yourself as you forget your name due to lack of sleep. What was the first part again? Jack. Right. I know the last part. Holleworth. Right, so your name is Jack Holleworth. Please note that the default name is Robin Valhorn. This is the generic name of a character and may have been entered if you didn't type anything. Yes. Surprisingly enough, you managed to forget your pronouns as well. Am I really that forgetful? He. Ah, a boy, of course. Maybe it's time to stop watching that new show with that robot before bed. Always seems to mess you up. Maybe a quick look at your soul would encourage you again. You take a hand to your chest and take a deep breath, summoning your life force forth as it gently lights your hands. What color was it? No bearing on the story/routes available. I'll let you decide if you want. Well, I'll let you guys decide. What is my soul going to be? If I don't get like an answer soon, I'll just pick like something at random. Dark blue, orange. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Bravery, then. Bravery. The orange streaks against your arms make you ready to get up and fight. It was a day like most others. You got out of bed and started to grab your clothing that you would need for work before heading to take a shower. You look in the mirror and shrug, running a hand over your chin and eventually deciding you probably didn't need to shave. Though that wasn't what you were able to focus on right then. You turned on the shower radio you were given at your work secret Santa last year as you started to bathe. You're listening to classical radio on this December day. It's gonna be another cold one out there, folks. However, reports say it shouldn't snow until later in the week. Whatever the case, remember to stay bundled up, folks. Now, a classic tune. The sense of nostalgia you get washes over you. As you listen to the song from your youth, it really brings back memories of a speedrun. Exposition. World expedition, I guess. It has been over a year since the legendary Frisk reblated the monsters from the underground. Since then, the child has managed to retain peace between humanity and monsters. Discrimination is always in situations like this, but you like to think of yourself as fairly open-minded. Luckily though, monsters around the place can get whatever jobs they want, so long as they're qualified and the employer has open mind. You manage to see a monster at least once a day now, even. Exposition. Main character exposition. Your character is Jack Holleworth, Jack or Holleworth, depending on how you ask. Just refer to me as like this first name, please. This character has no affliction with the events that occurred in Undertale, obviously. You're a human living alone in an apartment complex in the midst of the town surrounding Mount Ebert City. Despite living there for a few years, the character can be quite shy when it comes to starting a conversation. However, once it's started, they'll always reply politely and promptly. You have a job at an office building where you work in sales, and that's been growing fairly stale for you over the years. No close family is around you due to the fact that you had to move to the city for the job. It pays well, but you're never certain if it's what you want to be doing with your life. It's boring as hell to say the least. You merely hope for something better at some point in the future. Enough thinking about the past, it's time to go. I can't possibly do all this. You step out of the shower and dry yourself off, heading into the other room to make breakfast while you turn the TV on. The television flickers to life and slowly focuses in on the same channel that you left it on last night. MTT-TV. The robot was supposedly a star from the underground, and his talent shifted easily up here. He managed to secure the local television slot for himself, and his YouTube was reaching popularity surprisingly quickly. Like, I'm just surprised this exists. Something about him just seemed to allure people, no matter what his form was. Once the television turned on, you focus more on your food. You're not the greatest chef in the world, but you managed to get it done. See you later, Korean. Whatever. It isn't the most healthy thing in the world, but everyone needs sugar in their diet, right? Whatever the case, you eat it happily as you watch the show. Certainly though, it's just a commercial. Currently though, it's just a commercial break. Or it would be if the robot actually ran commercials. Instead, it's just slow motion footage of rose petals falling on the robot's box form. You decide it's probably better to conserve power and shut off the TV, eating your breakfast quietly. You pull on your gloves and stuff your notebook into your bag. Afterwards, you drape your coat around yourself and place the bag strap over your shoulder as you headed out the door. You lived on the 5th or 10th floors, but there's an elevator there, luckily. You didn't really know anyone else here, and the last apartment just to yours has been empty since you moved in. Good to know. The elevator slid open, its cold interior empty and waiting. Silence struck around you as you step into the elevator, before that quiet hum buzzes in its space. This is not like playing a visual novel, this is like me reading an audiobook to you guys. You took this elevator every single day, but it always felt longer no matter how many times you went on it. Once you made it to the bottom, you stepped past the front desk and headed out into the cold, calmly walking along to your office. While the sun is still shining outside, the radio was right into declaring the temperature. It's cold. Snow caked the gutters of the street as the cold chills its way into your bones. Chilly bones. Thankfully though, it doesn't take that long to walk to work. Halfway through your walk, you pass the local school. You're pretty certain it was the one that employed that monster teacher. Though, as you're lost in thoughts, you tripped over something and landed in a garden of some sort of flower, buttercups. Laughter rang out from a group of children that you must have not seen. Psst, sorry mister, must have been an accident. You groaned and turned to the kids as they laughed at you, trying to think of some sort of retort. Luckily though, you don't need to. A woman's voice cuts through the air. Flint! Don't think I didn't say that! The smug expression that was on the child's face soon faded into a look of more notable fear. The crowd quickly scurries off into the school as a sign from the supposed leader of the group. You look down at yourself and sigh, brushing off some of the dirt as a couple pairs of feet started to step in your direction again. Oh dear, are you alright? You look up to see who was talking to you, only see a monster woman that's easily 6 feet tall, trailed by a child in a winter coat. And it's Goat Mom. She offers a hand to you with a small smile. I'm terribly sorry about these boys. They can be quite rowdy. With an even smaller smile in return, you reached up to take her hand. Her grip was surprisingly firm, but she hoisted you back up to your feet with ease and got you out of the flowers you were pushed into. Oh, it's alright. I remember when I was in elementary school like them. The goat woman gave a gentle giggle in response, then folded her hands together in front of her. Even still, behaviour like that should never be tolerated. My name is Toriel, caretaker of most of these children. It's a pleasure to meet you, Toriel. I'm Jack. This feels like fanfiction comes to life, I swear to God. And I can't possibly do the voices for all these. Toriel smiled again and was about to respond before the child that was behind us stepped forward, looking up at the other human with apparently closed eyes. Oh, and this is Frisk. I've watched over them for about a year now. You're about to introduce yourself to the child before the realization of the name hits you. Frisk? Hang on, are you? Frisk gave a small nod, their expression unchanging. Oh, have you seen them on the news? And proud seems to strike a chord in her voice. However, before you can speak more, the bell rings at the school, signalling only a few minutes until classes were to begin. Oh heavens! I apologise, but I fear that I must go. Perhaps we can meet again sometime? Really? I would love to, thank you! Toriel nods again, then gently takes Frisk's hand and starts to head towards the school. However, she delivers a final wave over her shoulder. Goodbye, Jack! You return the wave with a smile before realising that probably means you need to hurry to work as well. It's only a short walk before you get to the office. It's a decently sized firm with holes all over the country and world, but that much has never really stood out to you. The only reason you took the job here was because the pay was incredible and the area around here was nice. Plus, you had worked in an office for a year beforehand and did quite well there, so this company offered you a job. The only shame was that you hated this job. You never got the chance to speak to anyone except your boss, though aside from sometimes bringing in pretty good cookies when there was a party, they were hard to like. As much as this should be nothing to you, a change might be necessary soon. The day at work is quite uneventful, but at least you felt like you made good progress. Oh my god, no! No, Joriel is not meant to be a thing. Holleworth! Just hearing that lets you know that the next 10 minutes are going to be annoying. You turn your chair around to face the manager of your branch, deciding it best to see what they have to say before jumping to conclusions. Yes ma'am? I want to know why you were late. Despite your best attempts to explain the situation for a while, she eats up more of your time by berating you with nonsense. Finally though, once she's gotten her anger out of the way, she stomps away to slam the door shut behind her in her own office. You just take a deep breath and try to focus on your work again, merely hoping that this will all get better soon, one way or another. One way or another, however that song goes. Finally, the day is done. You managed to get out a few hours early today, so you should have plenty of time to kill. Plus, it's a weekend, so the bonus is even better to experience. Welcome back, Petra. On your way home, your stomach starts to faintly grumble. You realise that you never actually ate lunch at work. Jeez, I guess it's time for an early dinner. Your eyes scan over the various buildings along the way. Most of them are overpriced and not even very good quality to begin with. The place you usually went to was near to your home, but it closed down just a short while ago. However, you seem to notice a new place on the way home. A cafe? The title seems like a pun on something, but you can't place exactly what. The central smirk. With a shrug, you decide to head on into the restaurant. What's the worst that could happen? Standing in front of the fire guy and the skeleton, that's what. Instantly after stepping inside, you feel warmed up by the interior of the place. That was likely due to the bartender made of flames behind the counter, currently being chatted with by a skeleton about half his height. A monster-run cafe? Interesting. I wonder if they have any unique foods from the underground. The bell from the door jingles behind you as you step up to the counter. Finally catching the attention of the two running the place. Yeah, I know his name is Grillby. The short and big-boned skeleton leans against it as you sit yourself down, giving a grin that never seemed to leave his face. You didn't know how to take it. It was quite uncanny, really. Oh no, I skipped. God damn it. Oh, I can't go back, whatever. I'll just go with it. As your As your eyes scan the menu, you realise that just about every food item is a pun of some sort. Well, I've never really been here before. What do you recommend, sir? The skeleton shook his head. I'm no sir. A grill's is for one handling the stirs. So I know that can't be what you mean. It takes a moment to realise entirely what you mean, but you snicker a bit despite it. The skeleton takes a hand across the counter and offers it to you with that same grin always present. The name's Sans. Sans the skeleton. And you are... You reach forward and shake his hand in your own. I know where this is going. I'm Jack, it's a pleasure to... A low sound interrupts you, a constant sputtering low. There's a whoopee cushion in the skeleton's hand that you're almost certain there wasn't a few moments ago. The skeleton lets out a laugh like it's the funniest thing in the world, disappearing behind the counter as he holds a hand to his ribs and sinks down. Even the fiery bartender lets out a soft chuckle that almost sounds like sparks flying from the fireplace. I would recommend either the burger or fries, sir. The man of fire shrugs. And before you ask, Mr. Jack, my name is Grillby, or G, or Grillbs, depending on who you speak to. What do you want? You give a small chuckle and contemplate the options. You're just hungry, really. It probably doesn't matter too much what you get. Fries, I guess. He's silent as he goes into the back room, supposedly to make the fries. Eventually, Sans straightens out again and brushes a cyan-coloured tear from his left eye. It was hard to A, imagine him having laughed that hard about a whoopee cushion, and B, contemplate about a skeleton crying. What next, tongue? Jeez. You'll be back with your fries in a minute. So, kids, what brings you to this part of town? Oh, I was just heading home from work. The other place I normally eat at closed down. Sans shrugged and looked back around the place. Well, I can safely say you're at least second in our list of best customers. He winked as he looked back at you. We've only had 2. You can only wonder who that last person was. It takes a few seconds longer for Grillby to step back out again with your food, which he places in front of you. Bon appetit. Tish. Grillby shrugged. He thinks it's legally required to say that for every meal served. Whatever the legality of the situation may be, you chuckle quietly to yourself and start eating. Your meal goes on like that for a few seconds as you eat, occasionally stopping to chat to one of the people behind the counter. Soon though, you finish your plate and sit back with a smile, brushing the grease off your hands on the napkin you were given with your meal. Oof, man, that was delicious. How much do I owe you two? The pair look at each other silently for a moment before looking back to the human. Grillby starts to clean a cup with a rag, despite it already looking spotless. Free of charge, for our second best customer. Even just the idea of that statement throws your internal feelings out of whack. Wait, really? That seems kind of counterintuitive to your business, huh? Hold on, doesn't this also make me their worst customer technically? Sans shrugs and looks around the place. We'll be alright. I've still got a lot of funds saved up from watching After Perhaps. Working 6 jobs will do that to you, huh? Well, I really appreciate it. The skeleton smiled, though. When wasn't he doing that? And shook his head. No need to be so worried about it, kiddo. You snicker again at the pun and stand up from your chair, slinging your bag over your shoulder again. If you say so, I'll be sure to come by here again sometime. And I'll actually pay then. Well, I would hope so. Chances are you won't be our second best customer by then. Grilby gives a small nod of thanks towards the human and holds a hand up to give a thumbs up. His face didn't have many features aside from the glasses, but the gesture was enough. Stay safe. You smile again and head out of the restaurant, getting caught off guard by the serious temperature drop in between in there and outside. It wasn't that it was excruciatingly cold outside. It was merely too much to handle inside with the fire elemental. Though for that company, you felt you could handle it. As you were readjusting to the weather on the walk back to your home, you heard a voice call out to you from inside one of the stores. You there? Come inside a moment. You look over to the source of the laughter, supposedly another restaurant called Muffet's Muffins. The last time you went to a place you weren't all familiar with, it went alright. Why not try this out? You confidently step forward into the restaurant. There are no good shots of the inside of bakeries, lol. The inside was quite dimly lit, and the carpet felt quite springy under your feet. However, the springiness turned to squishiness as you went further in. Good boy! The title sets a fluster on your face, maybe letting you realise that this wasn't the best spur-of-the-moment decision. After walking a short distance forward, there's a woman settled in a cobweb about 10 feet up from the floor. She has several eyes upon her face, and 6 arms folded over crossed legs. Welcome to my parlour, dearie. I'm Buffett. The spider woman gives a tortuous bow from her webs, slowly lowering it to the floor. You realise that you couldn't take a step forward or backwards for some reason. Nice to meet you, ma'am. I'm Jack. Sunlight slowly turned on in the area. Around the place, it seemed like there were still dining tables and chairs set up, despite no customers being present. Muffet lowered her way into the ground, and ended up just behind a counter that grew faintly illuminated in a purplish light. I'm so glad you came to see me. I have the business prosperation of a lifetime for you. Oh great. You take a deep breath and set your mental efforts on not getting swiddled out of everything. Would you like a spider donut? They're quite nutritious. What do you say? You started to grow curious. However, well, how much are they? They sound pretty interesting. Muffet cackled slowly again, glad to have pulled someone pulled in someone with a web of intrigue. Well, I assure you, they were a delicacy in the underground. Do you want one? Do you really want one? You were about to give an answer when she cut you off again. A mere $300 should do the trick. What do you say, dearie? Hearing her made you laugh out loud, much to her anger. You honestly thought she was joking for a moment. Oh, you're serious? She looked over at you in bewilderment.
Well, of course I am, dearie. But you are a delicacy. I'll have you know.
She reached behind the counter and brought one out to brandish it. A few spiders start to crowd on the counter.
Are you saying this isn't worth the price?
What? No, I'm not saying that at all. I have no idea how much they're worth. She shook her head and folded four of her arms. Her expression slowly turned into a more hurt expression.
I don't know, dearie. It just seems like you hate spiders.
The accusation hit you in the gut with how sudden it was. Wait, what? No, I don't.
Well, there's one way to prove it to me.
You shook your head a bit and tried to take a step back, but the webs that you now saw coating the floor were keeping your feet in place. I'm sorry. I don't have the money to spend on pastries like this, ma'am. The woman stared at you with all five eyes narrowing slowly, setting the blood in your veins to ice.
Oh, don't worry, dearie. I understand.
You breathe out in relief. Even though the hostile tone in her voice is still present, she can't really do anything to you, can she?
Except, I've been watching you. You've caught my eye ever since I saw you walk out of that fancy tall building on the street.
Caught her eye? Hey, you caught my eye as well. It didn't seem like she heard that line. It was probably good.
If you really can't afford such quality, then I guess we'll just have to ask you to leave.
As much as you were trying to be brave in this situation, you seemed to realize how powerless you were early on. Right. I guess I'll just have to go then. My apologies, ma'am. I really didn't mean to offend you. You start to feel the grip on your shoes lessen over time.
Just another rude human, I guess.
She folded her arms again and looked away with a huff. While that line felt a bit unfair, you felt like there wasn't much you could do to get her out of that mood currently.
And I was starting to think you were even cute a moment ago.
Don't shoot me with Muffet, please. You felt your eyes widen in response to that, but you couldn't say anything before she started waving the human off.
Go on out then. I guess we can't make a connection.
She turned her back on you and held her head high. While you knew she was just trying to guilt trip you at this point, it was probably best not to say anything to counter her in her domain. You turned and started to head out. Muffet looked over her shoulder and scowled a bit, then leaned close to a normal-sized spider and started whispering something to them. As soon as you stepped outside, your response was muttered under your breath. I don't know how to feel about that woman. Wow, this is long. I honestly don't remember this being that long. As you walk back to your apartment, you pass by the school again, where it seemed like a monster was currently trimming a hedge in what looked like to be the shape of a head. As you glanced over though, you heard him drop a pair of clippers from his ladder. Golly, these waves are too slippery for this. Ho ho ho! He started to descend down his ladder as you picked up the clippers for him, handing them over with a smile as the man turned around. Again, you felt almost dwarfed by this monster that was easily 7 feet tall. Despite the floor print t-shirt and happy expression on his bearded face, you take it that this isn't someone who was messed with before. Howdy. Thank you, human. You shake your head politely and scratch the back of your neck. It's not a problem, sir. I didn't do anything special. The goat shook his head and still glanced down at the human with a wise smile. To you, it may not have seemed like much, but it means a lot to me that humans can be so willing to be kind to monsters. You gave a prideful smile and nodded an understanding. Even if it wasn't too big of a deal to you, it surely meant a lot to the monster in front of you. A big hand moved slowly in front of you, offered for a shake. My name is Asgore Dreamer, human. You look up to the goat and smile again. Reaching forward to take his hand in your own. Yeah, like, I kind of learned that out the hard way. It's nice to meet you, sir. I'm Jack Holleworth. Before you can get further acquainted, an unseen model shouts out from behind the hedges.
King Asgore, who are you talking to?
Another taller than before skeleton steps out. Upon closer expression, it seemed like the hedge was starting to be moulded in the shape of the skeleton's face. Despite being on the surface, the skeleton still gasped and held his hands to his cheeks in apparent awe at seeing a human. This is kind of killing my throat a bit.
Oh my god! Hello, human!
The skeleton took a few long strides over to the human and took their hand in his own gloved one, shaking it vigorously with a cheerful smile on his face.
In case you didn't know, I am the Great Papyrus.
Shortly after shaking your hand and not even waiting for a response, the skeleton took a step back and posed dramatically. An expression of fear the skeleton must have been formed in your mind, given his attitude. After all, he was important enough to have a hedge in front of a school trimmed after him, and the narcissistic tones he spoke in must have been indicative of his behaviour, right? Though you do happen to notice the Goat King was just giving his same smile over to the skeleton. Another thing finally clicks in your mind. This is King Asgore, the leader of the underground. I can't English. The realizing struck you like a truck, and you walked up to him with wide eyes again. However, as the king looked back to you, he just gave the dismissive chuckle and a wave of his hand, talking in a low tone that Papyrus couldn't hear. Don't worry about Papyrus, he's really quite kind. That wasn't entirely what point you were intending to get across, but you merely hoped that it didn't matter too much right then. Papyrus let out his signature laugh as he looked back at you.
Yeah, surely you're impressed, yes?
Your stunned silence was met with more of his joyful laughter. Asgore finally spoke up to the skeleton. Well then, should we continue with the hedges, Papyrus?
Oh, of course, King Asgore.
Papyrus scurried off toward where he was, as the king stepped onto the ladder again. It was a pleasure to meet with you, Jack. I hope to see you again sometime, and I feel Papyrus may as well. Ho ho ho! His laughter was full of joy, even if there was the faint melancholic edge about him that undermined it only faintly. Though it may have just been your imagination. It was a pleasure to meet you as well, King Asgore. Asgore is Santa. Asgore shook his head as he went back to trimming the hedge. I'm no king anymore, merely a fluffy gardener. Of course, I still need to speak with human officials at times, but gardening is the project I focus more on. Just the idea of a gardening king made you chuckle as you looked back down the street. I should probably head home now. Be sure to stay warm, alright? The goat gardener chuckled and gave a small nod. I'm not very much the person to go out to go cold in weather, for a few reasons. Another smile lights your face as you turn around to head back in the direction of your home. Nothing else eventful happened to you on the way home, but you felt alright about that. Today was already jam-packed with events. You sort of wanted to just get home. You stepped into the elevator and checked your phone as you rise up. No new messages. That much wasn't really surprising. Despite living in this city for over a year, you hardly knew anybody, let alone have their number. The door slid open and you started to step out, though there was a spider perched on in the corner and you shrugged. Hope nobody else in the building is arachnophobic. The sound of grunting was filling the hall, even though you made the turn to your room. You merely hoped it wasn't what you thought it was. Luckily, it was something much more interesting. In the door just next to yours, there was a blue woman trying to shove a grand piano through a front door single-handedly. Yeah! Why do these things have to be so huge? Quickly, you pushed forwards and started to help support the piano, pushing it through the door alongside her. Jesus, can't you do something like this on your own? Oh yeah, punk? Yeah! Well, yes. Through sheer determination, the fish woman managed to push the piano through the door, just to spite you. She slammed it into the corner of the living room, making an almighty crash around the entire building. Despite your panting and near exhaustion just from pushing it through the door, the fish woman turned to you with a large grin. It didn't even look like she had broken a sweat. Thanks for the help, punk. The name's Undyne. I can't do feminine voices, goddammit. She shot her hand forward. It was rough and weathered, and her grip was certainly firm after you put your hand in hers to return it. Haha. Pleasure to meet you, Undyne. I'm Jack. I guess you're moving in here? The feeling of her hand squeezing yours definitely hurt, but it didn't seem like she was doing it on purpose. Hell yeah! This place is super nice, huh? Guess you must live nearby if you were up here. That and you're fairly certain the shouting and grunting would have attracted anybody within a 4-mile radius. Yeah, actually I just live next door. Her eyes widened at that statement and a toothy grin formed. All of the teeth were sharp in her mouth, definitely vicious. Awesome. It'll be good to actually know someone in here. While there are other things in your mind you'd like to know about her, there's one thing that is pushing its way to the front of your mind almost consistently. Sorry to ask, but how in the hell did you get a piano all the way up here? The woman shrugged and looked over to the piano. It was really huge, and just from the fraction of time that you were helping push it, you could tell it was heavy. Well, it wouldn't fit in the elevator, so I just carried up the stairs. Why? Obviously, your look of bewilderment just made her more confused. Never mind. It's probably not important. Whatever the case, Undyne shrugged and sat down on a couch that was already in there. Jack, in my line of work, you've got to be strong. You narrowed your gaze at her. What kind of job would you need to lift a piano up five flights of stairs? Are you a mover or something? Personal trainer, but I guess that would be really fitting. You pitied the person who would have to train under her. Then again, you've always considered going to a gym. Honestly, you should probably sign up for a membership soon. After resting in there for a while, you got to your feet again and took a deep breath. Well, I guess I'll head back to my place for a while. Do you need any help with anything around here? She shook her head and rested her head back on the couch, doing her same toothy grin over to you. Nah, I should be alright for now. We should definitely hang out sometime though. You return the smile with a much smaller one of your own. It's not that yours is small, it's just that hers is so small and hard to counter. With another wave, you started to go out and go the short distance to your own apartment. After stepping inside, you took a deep breath and set your coat and bag on the rack just next to the door. You're not very hungry due to having just eaten, and it's far too early to go to bed yet. Besides, it was a Friday. How convenient. You had a few options, but on nights like this, you found it most fun to head to the arcade. However, you wanted to spend at least a short while at home. So instead of going out immediately, you grabbed your notebook out of your bag and headed to the desk you had in your room. Flipping through the pages, you can see some of the other sketches of various things you've drawn throughout the years. You drew whatever came to mind when you were bored, anything from animals to robots to even some monsters you saw in passing glances. However, today, you got to meet so many new ones. It was almost hard to consider which of them all to draw. Though it would be somewhat creepy if you draw pictures of people who were starting to get to know. So instead, you decided to just draw a robot from the anime you always like to watch. So cool. After that was done, you moved to gather your things again to head out on the town. As you look through the window on your way to the elevator, you notice that the sun had only just started to set. And I'm an angry French artist. There's now the bonus traffic going about the town, but you still opted just walk to the arcade. It's cheaper and about the only exercise you actually got. Then again, you were walking toward an arcade. That sort of threw the bonus out of the way. A few moments later, you were inside. The dim overall lighting blended greatly with the brightly coloured machines and signs around the place. It always felt awkward coming here alone, but you sometimes found other people who were pretty cool around the place you could face in some of the various games. A pair of people were even occupying one of the air hockey tables, which is completely empty by the way. Both of whom appear to be monsters. Yet one of them looked familiar to you. It only took a second longer of staring awkwardly at them to figure out who it was. Ooh, Alphys darling, you're quite good at this, you know that?
My hidden talents?
They both chuckled a bit and you smiled from being an onlooker. But your heart was racing just with the thought of actually being able to meet Metatom. Surprisingly enough, there wasn't even a crowd around him, despite being in a public area. After a few moments, the game ended with the much shorter lizard woman winning by a few points. She puts her glasses up her nose a bit and started quietly celebrating to herself for a moment as the robot she was playing against suffered in disappointment. I'm only this way because you didn't program me to be good at air hockey. The scientist blushed heavily despite the obviously jocose tone in the robot's voice.
I think you're just blaming your lack of skill on me because I programmed you that way.
The robot shrugged before looking over and noticing you. Despite your attempt to look away in time, the smirk gracing his face was still obvious. Well, hello, darling. Did I catch your eye? The robot struts over to you with Alphys and just trying to hide her embarrassment by playing on any other machine. Sorry, I've seen you on TV and you was just as a robotic gloved finger moved against your lips to silence you, but gently so. Darling, don't worry about it. You wouldn't believe the amount of people I have staring at me daily. Soon, though, the robot chuckled and returned his finger to a fist, resting it against his hip. Well then, what brings you here, darling? Aside from my beautiful figure, of course, to the arcade, I was just bored at home, really. Ah, I see. Surely this has spiced up your life substantially, huh? That was certainly one way of putting it. The robot chuckled and shook his head, calling over the lizard again. Alphys, come and meet my fan. Despite her looking like she would willingly do anything but meet someone new, the lizard came over, shyly adjusting her glasses again. It just seemed like an habitual thing for her.
Hello, I'm Dr. Alphys.
You give a small nod of your head towards her and give a shy smile in return, still quite flustered to have been caught by the robot in the first place. A pleasure to meet you, Dr. Alphys. I'm Jack. Jack? My, what a beautiful name. I can't sentence. The robot reached into his pocket and took out a glittery cell phone, clicking through a few of the options. And what's the last name? I need it for my contacts. You realised that was probably the most subtle way the robot could ask for your phone number as well. Wait, would you want my number? Even Alpha seemed surprised, and it seemed like she was much closer to the robot. Well, of course! I get all my fans' numbers, just in case they ever need anything. Of course, most of my calls are from that silly skeleton, but he's my #1 fan. Of course I have to accept them. You can't see Sans as being a fan of the robot, but Papyrus? That seemed at least somewhat plausible. They both have that narcissistic tinge to their personalities. In that case, my last name is Holleworth. Jack Holleworth. The robot took only a few seconds to type in the name and number when you eventually gave it to him, causing you to realise just how advanced the robot actually was. Perfect, darling. Now pose for a photo. Before you could even react, the robot moved over and put an arm on you, sticking a tongue out slyly as he held the phone in front of you both. However, before he could take the picture, a notification appeared on his screen for someone. Joriel, Juffit, and Jetaton. Oh, just wait just a beautiful moment. I have to take this. Perhaps we could reschedule this photo shoot for tomorrow, hmm? Alphys, darling, could you keep him company for a moment? Before she could even respond, Metaton was already walking off and chattering to whoever had interrupted the conversation oh so rudely. Honestly, you really didn't know what to say either. Do you like anime? For once, some semblance of passion started to lighten the lizard's visage as she looked up again at the human.
Yeah, I actually love it.
For a while, the two of you just talked to each other about the topic. Each of you with intensifying passion. However, you got interrupted a few seconds into your conversation by what appeared to be a depressed ghost, for lack of any way to put it. This just has Reader X Undertale written all over it. Hey Alphys, have you seen Metaton? Alphys looked over and shifted from anime mode to normal person mode, meaning she often lost much of her confidence.
Oh, he went to accept a phone call. He should be somewhere around here. Sorry, Napstablook.
The ghost shifted their gaze over to the human for the first time and looked them up and down, suddenly growing a bit more transparent. Sorry, I interrupted you, didn't I? Oh no. They started to fade away, but you held out a hand in an attempt to stop them. You didn't interrupt us, come back! Slowly, the ghost started to materialize again, looking at the situation cautiously. Oh, right. Sorry. I'm Napsterbook. What was your name? You gave a small nod of your head and a thumbs up. Pleasure to meet you, Napsterbook. I'm Jack. Napsterbook didn't give much of a response in return, just awkwardly looking around. Sorry, I'm not really feeling it right now. Goodbye. There's little you could have done this time, but Alphys is there to explain it away.
So, don't worry about them. They're just kind of shy.
You shrug it off and force a smile to your face again. It's not a problem, Alphys. I'm the same way. Alphys nodded and checked her phone quickly, then sighed in exasperation.
He's gone for at least 10 minutes already. We were going to head out soon. He'll probably notice I'm gone when I leave, right?
I know I would. Alphys's cheeks picked up heavily in fluster, but she shook off what seems like a compliment and cleared her throat.
Anyway, it was good getting to meet you, Jack. If you need either of us, just call Manton. He can probably give you my number.
She looked to the side.
Not that you would ever want to call me, of course.
What? I would call you any chance I got. However, she was already heading away, giving a wave over her shoulder.
Goodbye.
Oh god, Siri, no. You merely hoped that you could see her again sometime. Metaton never came up to find you, so you just assumed he was gone. Around an hour later, you were just ready to head home. It was a much more eventful day than you had originally anticipated. How many monsters were even met today, and monsters whose names you could remember no less? After playing the space shooter game for a while, you decided it was about time. You took your things again and headed out into the night, looking at the street lights vaguely, setting the earth to a visible tone as underneath them as people and their shadows miled about underneath. You joined a group of those shadows and headed in the direction of your home again. The city was noticeably quieter the further into the day things got. After night fell was when it got most quiet, only picking up again at around midnight. The sounds didn't bother you nearly as much as they did when you first moved here, though. The walk sort of breezed by you, and you were surprised to find the entrance to your apartment already. The elevator greeted you again, and you stepped into it calmly, whistling something to yourself as you went about in there. Only a few moments after you stepped into the elevator did you hear your phone go off with that ringtone you thought was so cool a few weeks prior. You pull out your phone and look at the screen with raised eyebrow. From an unknown number, you had a text saying, "Darlings?" It didn't take long to decipher who it could have been. You decided to send a quick text message in reply, just so he's certain he got your number down as well. Hey, it's Jack. However, it was only a moment later that you realized something. There was a plus sign next to the original number. You were dragged into a group chat with at least 5 or 6 other numbers that you didn't know. Oh, sweet Jesus. Only a short while later, everyone started to respond in their own unique way. The elevator opened a moment ago, and you started to walk through it toward your apartment as your phone started giving off notifications every few seconds. Why did you make us go into another group chat? Oh, well, I just want to add my new human friend. Human friend? Is that Jack Holleworth? Yes, it is. Oh, King Asgore, I knew you were a smart one. With each name being given, you try to add them to a contact, as well as keep track of who is who. though for one of the names, you could infer who they were. Don't see why we had to add them though. No offense to the kid, but we don't really know them that well. Oh, come now. All of you mentioned meeting a human today. Surely we're all thinking of the same awkward boy, right? You were about to protest, but just about everyone seems to agree. Well, as much as that's quite rude, it sounds about right.
Yep. The humans I saw spoke to the king and I.
Yes, that does sound like... Yep, that sounds like the same human. Awkward as fitting. Can we please stop? I don't know what's wrong with being awkward. Please. Please. Jack, don't worry dear. I'll send you their contact information later. You still didn't really know how to feel about being drafted into this group chat, but every one of the monsters seemed quite nice. Besides, it had to be fun, right? You step into your home and move into your room again, sitting on the edge of your bed as the conversation kept going on. Surely it can't be too big of a deal, right? Jack is definitely polite. It's not that he's not polite, Your Majesty. We barely know them. Shouldn't we be more careful? Oh, hush up, you bag of bones. Surely it's alright. Whatever. Just don't blame me when we're all boned because of this. Lol.
Oh my god, that wasn't even good. You've used that one 400 times already.
Seriously, how are you in this legend on mobile? Magic, kiddo. It occurred to you that I never really heard Friska's voice. You wondered to yourself if they even talked. I think it would be alright if Mr. Holleworth joined this chat. After all, he's pretty cute. Oh my god. Frisk sent a gif of them snapping their fingers at the camera, which they apparently had saved. Why? The kid's like that with everyone. Don't worry too much about it. Look, I'm all up for Jack being in the chat, but I have work tomorrow, so I have to be up in a few hours.
And 9, you never sleep.
Alright, we can discuss this tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Metatom sent a voice clip of him supposedly blowing a kiss. Undyne sent a clip of a video of someone vomiting into a bucket. Frisk sent word art of the phrase lol.
Undyne, that is disgusting. I can't believe you would...
Toriel sent several paragraphs debating the ethical use of a video clip. You decide to call it a night as you sent your phone on the bedside table, laying back and taking a few deep breaths. Today was definitely strange, but you feel like it will stick out in your mind for the rest of your life. Your phone started to buzz as a few people continued to talk in the chat, but like the rest of the sounds of the city, they faded into the back of your mind as you drifted to sleep. Hello, if you made it this far, thank you very much. I hope this is just about everything you're hoping for from a demo at this point. I can't confirm that this will be done anytime soon, but I promise that I'll put as much of my effort as I can into this project. I absolutely love writing this and hope that people will enjoy what I have planned as well. If you have anything to say, especially feedback, I want you to know what you enjoy or what I'm doing wrong. Please send it through an ask or email me at undertalevisualnovel@gmail.com. Thank you again for playing and please stay determined. Heart. That was definitely something to end the stream with, wasn't it? So, see you later. I hope you all had a good night. See you next stream, hopefully.